you now got your own kids, you still listen to the records, just like we did with the Beatles, the Stones, the T-Rex, and Bowie and stuff like that. And they want to hear familiarity. It's celebration, not an educational place. A place of education is a club, an open mic night, where psychologically, when you walk in and there's some guy on an acoustic or whatever, you know that you're not going to know any material. So you're prepared for it. Nobody's prepared for that in Madison Square Gardens. It just doesn't work.
I want to touch on one more thing before we move things along a little bit. As we all know, the last month or two has been really tragic for some of the rock icons that we love, losing people like Lemmy, just recently Glenn Frey, and somebody that I know, Joe, you were a massive fan of, and that is David Bowie. Yeah. Talk about the impact that Bowie had on you as a musician, and when was the very first time you ever saw him as a kid?
6th of July, 1972, that's specific.
Can you get a little more? Yeah, can you read a little more specific?
7:45 on a Thursday evening. There's a program called Top of the Pops that it...
What song was he playing?
Starman.
Starman, okay.
Yeah. It was his first proper hit. Space Odyssey had been like a hit in '69, but it had passed me by. I was 9 years old, I never heard it. But when I saw Starman on Top of the Pops, you know, TV had just gone colour in the UK, so the thing that he had red hair and they were wearing all this sparkly stuff, it made a huge difference to watching all these bands like the Beatles and Stones, which had been in black and white for 5 or 6 years to me. We didn't have a TV until I was about 7 or 8 years old. We started an outside toilet when I was 12. So to see something like this guy who looked like an alien, it was like a calling, you know, between him and Bowie, Mott the Hoople. And by the way, we lost Buffin this week as well, the drummer from Mott the Hoople, and Glenn Frey and Lenny just before New Year. It's been a horrible month. It was the 30th anniversary of Phil Lynnett's passing, the 25th of Steve Clark's. It's not been a great month. This boat's like a metaphorical trip for me. It's like we're sailing away from January and I can't get there quick enough.
Let's hope we can change that tide a little bit with this ship. One last thing I want to ask you, and then speaking of Bowie, Joe's got something very special planned here. But you told me on the radio the other day a fairly funny story about the first time you ever met Bowie. If you could share that story with the audience, because I think it was at a picnic at Bono's or something like that?
A barbecue.
A barbecue.
Love you too.
But talk about that, because it was almost...
Well, it was 1989, I was in Dublin. Between us and U2, we were right up there at the top, so we crossed paths a lot, especially when we weren't working. And I got an invite to the barbecue at Bono's house, and he said, come here. He says, I want to introduce you to somebody, and he took me to his snooker parlour, and there was Bowie sat on the snooker table, and I'm like, oh. I'm not prepared for this. What do you say? Nothing came out. Hi.
And was that it?
It was really weird. Yeah, no, he was fantastic. I met him a bunch of times over the years. He was always very polite, very open, you know. A lot of the kind of posh media might maybe think, why would David Bowie talk to someone like me when he should be hanging out with Brian Ferry and Iggy Pop? But he was absolutely open with everybody. He would have sat down with Lemmy or Anthrax or anybody, and I had something in common with him, you know. He said many times the only music he didn't like was country and western. It was awkward, but it was. I'm glad we did it.
All right. Well, with that in mind, we have a lot of stuff planned for you here this afternoon in the theater. But we're going to move things along because some of your bandmates are going to join now.
Yeah, we thought we'd stagger it, you see, because if we all came out, they'd be sat here for an hour saying nothing, because I've got a fucking big mouth. So I'll shut up now, like these guys.
But you are going to bring out, you're going to move it along because you're going to do some special performance here.
Phil and Sav are going to come out. We're going to play a song.
Well, let's get them out.
We're going to play a song.
Phil Collin and Rich